Hello, this is Tom Meeks, and this is 3D Design for Fun and Life, featuring Moment of Inspiration using the uniquely easy noun and verb method.
This session is project number 5A, creating a holiday ornament.
In this project, we're going to create a holiday ornament. It's actually a rather ornate gingerbread house. It's based on a clip art file, and I'm going to bring that clip art file in now. But before we do, I'll show you one of the ways that makes it easier to make sure things are centered and easier to work with later. I know that my image is 130 by 160. I've worked with it in Affinity Photo, and I've actually put registration marks on each of the corners that will fit in that dimension. So I've created a rectangle that allows me to bring that image in much easier into Moment of Inspiration. Let's go to View, Image. We'll first go with the first image that I started with, the ginger house. We start in the left corner and we come over till we hit the right side. Notice our registration marks show that we're pretty centered here. This was a black and white clip art. To make it easier to work with in Moment of Inspiration, I colorized it. I analyzed how deeply I want to extrude certain features. And I colorized it to give me a hint as I'm actually designing that. So I'm going to hide this one. I'm going to add another one. And this is my colorized image. We'll bring it in and do the very same thing. There we have our colorized image. And to help me remember what I was thinking when I colorized this, I have these codes. Now, these codes are just there to remind me how deeply I'm going to extrude each of the colors we see on the screen. So let's begin. The first thing we're going to do is work with the roof. And the roof is a series of circles representing snow. And we'll start, though, with the center part of the roof. And I'm going to come up here. Let's zoom in on this. There we go. We're going to use actually 3 points rectangle. And we don't have to be very close here. We just come down and then bring it down here. So the first thing we want to do is contour this part of the roof. And we do that using show points and add points. Now we're going to make a number of points along this edge here, and they're not going to be corner points. So I'm going to use repeat, and I'm simply going to click on this line 3 or 4 times. I'm going to come around here, do that same thing here, come up here. Don't need quite as many here. All right, and I'm going to say cancel. Now, the most important thing, though, is I'm going to bring this point down, straight down to there. And I'll bring this point up here, and I'll bring this point there. So now we can sort of contour this part of the roof. Each time I select a point to drag, I click on an empty space of the screen so that I'm not dragging more than one point at a time. All right, that's pretty close. We don't have to be absolutely perfect because the drawing's not perfect. The drawing's kind of a loose form. And we'll get close. That'll be fine. And now we'll draw this around. Now, the one thing that I do want to do, however, is I want to get rid of the corner points down here, because I am going to offset this, and those corner points are going to give me a bit of a problem. So let's add more points where we might need them. I don't need many more here. Let's see if I can do this. Oh, we're going to turn off object snap. Come in here, and there we go. That makes it nice. Yeah. That's pretty close. All right. So I like that. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do is we used the rectangle for this form. I'm going to turn off show points. And I'm going to now go to draw curve. And the best kind of circle to use when you're tracing circles of images is 3 points. So we'll just come up here and you'll see how quickly we can do this. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to hit repeat to make it fast. All right. And we'll just get these as close as we can. Again, these images are not absolutely perfect, so there's no need for us to be absolutely perfect. You know, they're kind of a representational snow. But as you can see, 3 points makes it much easier to match the shape of the circles than any other kind of circle would be. And I'm going to undo that. I started in a different place here. So we're going to go back here, hit repeat again. There we go. Excellent. All right. Now the next step that we're going to do is I'm going to pan here, and I'm now going to use offset. And the problem with the offset is you can't use repeat with offset very well because it'll try to offset the same object multiple times. So I'm going to say done and 2. We're going to use a value of 2, and we're going to come down and offset each of these individually and go to the inside. Come on, inside. There we go. And this is going to create the inside of each of these circles. Make sure we don't select that. There we go. And we're going to do one more offset, and that's going to be of this shape right here. So we're going to take the offset, and we'll offset that too. Then we're going to take each of these inside circles, just the inside circles, not the outside. And we're going to say Boolean diff. We're going to keep that object, and we're going to cut them using that shape. And that will give us our nice contours. See that we have that contoured? Then we're going to come back, and we're going to select all of these outside circles. And this outside shape, and we're going to say Boolean union. Now you'll see that we have all of these shapes that we need here. I've got one last thing to do. I'm going to come up here, turn on grid snap and object snap, come down, and I'm going to cut this, construct Boolean diff, done. And then we'll delete that. And now I'm going to transform mirror that side. I'll actually cancel. We're going to transform mirror everything. We're going to select all of these things, and we're going to come over here and do mirror. And we're going to join two features. We're going to join the inside features, union them, Boolean union. Notice we get that shape. And we're going to take these outside and we're going to union those. So now what we have is an inside and outside. There's one last thing we need to do. We're going to create this. It's going to be too high. Let's make it 2. There we go. Too high. And just bring it over. And what we will do here is we will come back to our edit, show points, add points, and we're going to add a midpoint here and a midpoint there, and just take both of these points and move them down a little bit. We'll move the whole object up stem. Why don't we move these objects up? There we go. And then we'll take this and go construct Boolean union. Now we have our roof. So right now I'm going to turn off my alignment. I don't need it, so that I can grab all of the roof frames, and we're going to call this 101 roof frames. And they were red, so according to our color code, they're going to be 5 millimeters. Now what we may do is we may extrude these inside 6 millimeters, depending on what we want to do. But right now we'll just say 5 millimeters, and that will complete our roof. We'll now turn our attention to the chimney and to the walls of the house. So for the chimney, we'll start out with a rectangle. Corner rectangle will work well. And we'll start over here, move over, and we'll only come to that far, all right? But we'll use a diameter circle. Come here, and we will transform mirror, find the center here, done, midway, bring that over, and then we'll come over and put in the next circle that we have. And we'll center this up on the object. There we go. And now we'll union this. Boolean union. There we go. And we need 3 of these, so we'll go ahead and transform array. We'll use the directional array 3. And we'll start here and come down. Try to keep it as close as possible, straight down. That works. We can make sure they're aligned by going to alignment, vertical center, selecting all 3 and align on the top or the midpoint there. And then we will do one more. We use a rounded corners with a corner to corner. And we'll align this after we get it done. The important thing is to do just slight corners here. There we go. And again, because we don't need to be perfectly exact, we'll align it on the mid. So this gives us all of our chimney. The roof was 101, so we're going to use 201 for the chimney. Okay. 201 chimney frames, and that's going to be 4 millimeters. I think we said that. We'll back up and look at our key here. Yeah, 4 millimeters for the blue. Now we do have these areas that need to be cut, and what we'll do is we will select the bottom 2, construct Boolean diff, make sure keep objects, and we'll use the outside edge to trim that off. So we didn't have to draw this shape in here. We'll just use the bottom or the other part to trim that. And now let's make these walls. The 3-point triangle will be used here. We'll start at the highest side and we'll turn off grid snap and we'll bring that up. We'll come down and then we'll go over 2. Good. And all we'll do here is transform, mirror, and now turn grid snap back on and object snap back on to get the other side. And these will be the house frames. Well, because they're blue, why don't we just say here 202 house frames, 4mm. That puts them together, so we'll be able to work. And we will clean these up by going here, construct Boolean diff, and use that to cut. And now we have the shapes right there. So that'll complete this operation for the blue area, except for the door, and we'll deal with the door separately. The next thing we want to tackle is the windows. And it's going to be cyan. That'll be 6mm extrusion. So let's begin. We start with our 3-point circle. We'll zoom in, get our 3-point circle. We'll make sure that we center this on the y-axis. There we go. We'll now do our offset, construct offset 2, and we pick our offset distance. Now we're going to go to the center circle, and we'll create this small circle here and a little bit larger circle right here. The next move we make is going to be to create the bars or the wagon wheel look, and we'll do that with a center rectangle. We give it a manual width of 2, and then we just make sure we're on either side of the inner circle and the outer circle. We're going to name this ZZ just to make it easier. In the next move, we'll go to Transform Array, Circular Array, click on our center point, and we have 8 of our wagon wheels. We say done, and now all we're going to do is we're going to select the inner circle, the outer circle, say construct Boolean difference. We'll select all of the rectangles at the same time, turn keep objects off, and our window is done. To make it a little fancier, however, we're going to select all of the objects that comprise the window and do a show points. We have to get them all. All right, we do edit, show points, and now we're going to add points. We'll use the repeat. What we want to do is we want to put a regular point at the midpoint of every one of these walls. As we come around, we'll look for the midpoint, and we'll drop a regular control point at the midpoint of each of these. Excellent. And so we'll cancel that. And now we want to grab all of the control points to the outside. And we can do this several different ways. We can do it individually, or we can drag the mouse to include just the points that we want. And sometimes that's easier than other times, depending on the angle of the points. But we can do this fairly fast. I think we now have all of the points. Be sure to check. Oops, there's one we missed. Make sure you have all of the points, and now go to Transform, Rotate, Click on the center of the circle, come up and rotate around. And what we're creating is a little fancier window. We'll say Edit, Show Points. There we go. Now we can name all of this. So we messed up here. Undo. All we have to do is undo. We actually had grabbed that point when we shouldn't have. And now we'll do this again. We'll do rotate. Look at it all. Yep, now it's working fine. But it's very easy if you do make a mistake to correct that mistake in moment of inspiration, because you can undo so easily. We'll now select all of the objects that comprise this. And we'll name it 301 window frames. Window frames 4 millimeters. And just to show you what that'll look like, I'm going to go construct, extrude 1. We'll undo this as soon as we've done it, but that's what it's going to look like. Our windows are going to look like this. And we'll undo, and now we'll move on to the next feature. But before we do, we'll stop because we've taken so much time. We'll break this into 2 pieces. This is 3D design for fun and life. 3D design courseware based on Moment of Inspiration by Tom Meeks.
In this session, we began the process of creating a holiday ornament from a clip art file. Among the key lessons of this session is that we were able to utilize existing objects to contour other objects using offset and Boolean diff. And we can create more interesting shapes by rotating select control points. Normally, creating the ornament would go fairly quickly, but the process is slowed by having to describe each step. So we have opted to break Project 5 into 2 shorter videos. In the next video, we will complete the ornament.